going to share my screen. I hope you can all hear me, and I'm going to start the slideshow from the beginning. Very good place to start. Right, so Sheerwater. Most of you know where Sheerwater is and know where St Michael's is. We're bringing Sheerwater to you this evening as you couldn't come to us, which is such a shame. But you'll know Sheerwater as the home perhaps of Brian of McLaren, and also of the Jam. And our lovely estate is bordered by the beautiful canal, which I'm sure you've been enjoying over the recent lockdown weeks, and by the railway as well. So that's where we are. And our big Asda on the estate, lots of you come and shop here, and you won't have failed to notice that we're undergoing a regeneration project. That there's a bit of a building site that was taken a little while ago in 2019 when the whole thing started. And this is what's planning, this is what's coming up as we speak. So we're looking at several stories now that are up in the air. I've got some photos later of slightly more recent pictures, but that's the new commercial centre that's opposite Asda, that's going to have flats in it as well, and various new shops and so on. And this overall is the plan. So Working Borough Council are beginning to knock down absolutely everything that goes between the church, which I'm just going to see if I can wriggle. No, my cursor doesn't want to go. You can so there, that's the church below the red line. So everything this way up to the canal is being bulldozed and rebuilt. And then along here is the railway and Albert Drive, and that's the area that's being looked at. So St Michael's people, we're going to hear a little bit from them now.
St Michael's is about supporting people, whether that's on a faith journey or in any other aspect of your life.
I recently completed a project for college on St Michael's Community Lunch. 10 years ago, members of St Michael's identified a need on the estate for people living alone to enjoy a roast dinner with all the trimmings once a month. Food they wouldn't cook for themselves, that they could enjoy together in community. When I interviewed people, I was blown away by how much this monthly community lunch is loved by those who attend it. Some are regular churchgoers, others not at all, but all felt welcomed and loved, and saw the lunch as quite unique in offering a delicious sit-down meal with an opportunity for really valuable conversation.
So, imagine you live in a small flat with small children on Sheerwater. What do you need most? Space, that's what you need. And that's what the children need too. Space that's comfortable, warm, welcoming and safe. And that's what the pop-up cafe at St Michael's is trying to offer families after school. Space to relax, where they can get some healthy food, play games and chat. Safe space.
I love Pop-Up Cafe. The children have such fun, whether they're being shown how to make fluffy sheep, or trying out Marmite sandwiches for the first time, or building Jenga towers. Their mums, dads, grandmas or other carers get a chance to take the weight off their feet and have a cup of tea. And as helpers, we always feel lucky to take part in something that's so worthwhile, but also great fun.
St Michael's is a wonderful, welcoming place to worship. It's a family which accepts everyone as they are, celebrates their diversity, and values the contributions each person makes.
At St Michael's we meet with the Lord for worship and we meet each other, and after that we have coffee. There's an interesting range of worship, and it is a caring, supportive community.
I found St Michael's incredibly welcoming. Everyone made a space for me and is genuinely pleased to see me. It's very warming. Because it's still a small church, they can respond to and initiate very quickly and with minimum fuss. An example would be an Alpha course that came into being within a few weeks of being suggested. I've seen more initiatives happening recently, and it feels as if the momentum is growing. The numbers might still seem small, but these are individuals who are finding something attractive in the church and keep coming. This is the church reaching out into the community and being part of the neighbourhood.
St Michael's, not just a church, but a strong presence in the community, with links alongside Mascot, with all community events and outreach, along with our commitment to the schools. We are small but large in what we do and achieve.
St Michael's is all about being a family. You can always ask someone for help or advice.
St Michael's is a home for me.
So, firstly, apologies. One thing I've now learned, every time chat comes up, it tells me there's a chat, but if I click on it, it messes around with the sound. So I have no idea what was said in the chat bar. So you're going to have to wave at me or something, or send me a text if you need me to stop. So I'll carry on, but thank you. Sorry about that break. So what's a BMO? We've got a BMO down at St Michael's. It's a bishop's mission order, and its purpose really is to draw a little bubble around a particular area or some part of mission to allow a mission initiative to begin with its own leadership. So it's it's got a time frame to it. It's got a 5-year time frame. I started in 2016, which means that the 5 years up, it's next summer, just a year to go now until the bishop's mission order ends. And the purpose of the mission order is, as is said in the paperwork, to grow awareness of Christ in Sheerwater through the life and service and mission of St Michael's Shared Church Community, Sheerwater, as a church in, of and for its community. It's about serving the local community. Now, in reality, the houses on Sheerwater are being boarded up at a great rate of knots. So much for the big plans, and it is getting big. This central picture that you can see shows the building opposite Asda as it was last week when I took that photo. And these are some of the photos around Sheerwater at the moment. People are moving away and being moved away, and nobody is yet moving in. So our community is being reduced. And I want to remind you that in 2019, General Synod voted in favour of a motion urging all of the dioceses to include evangelism on social housing estates in their strategies and clergy deployment plans. So Bishop Philip North told General Synod that estates were joyful places to live and to minister, and I agree with that, but life for the residents was getting harder. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: universal credit, low paid work, food poverty and austerity plague many lives. And you may well have seen some of the things that tell you that Sheerwater is no different. Get Surrey had an article just a short time ago talking about 56% child poverty on Sheerwater. And the church had been pulling away, closing churches and withdrawing clergy, said Philip North. So that in the past, the church had closed churches and withdrawn from social housing estates in spite of growing hardship experienced by estate residents. And he told General Synod very simply, here's the vision. It's a very simple one: to have a loving, serving, worshipping community in every estate, every significant social housing estate in the nation, to plant back into estates, the estates that we've abandoned, to better support our presence in the places that where we're struggling. And if we can do that, the impact on the church and the nation will be transformative. Anyone who is serious about the proclamation of the gospel starts with the poor, he says. And if we want to see a nation coming back to Christ, it will begin amongst the poor. So let's hear from Eddie down at Mascot. You'll know some more pictures there of the estate. You'll know Eddie, and he's got a little message for us too.
My name is Eddie Valletta, and I am the hub manager for Mascot in Sheerwater. I've been there since the hub opened about 6.5 years ago, and Mascot exists to build community and to do this as an act of Christian service. for everyone that we meet and that comes through our doors, irrespective of whether they have a faith or have no faith or a different faith to ours. In that time, we've worked with different partner agencies, with Working Borough Council, Surrey County Council, and a great number of volunteers as well, who we still depend upon to help us deliver the services that we do. Currently, we're obviously on lockdown, but prior to that, and hopefully when things ease up, we will be able to get back to normal. But we've been serving people through offering the space we have so that they can use the laptops and the internet when they don't have their own. We've been helping people find work. We've been supporting people with IT skills, offering other courses. We are part of the Working Food Bank network, and we're doing many other things. So we've been very busy serving the local community, and we work closely with St Michael's, which has been a great partnership. It's given St Michael's also an opportunity to be involved in local mission, and so we've been actively doing a lot of joint up work, and we're hoping that Mascot is going to be under St Michael's roof as part of the wider Sheerwater regeneration project. So investing in St Michael's will also be investing in Mascot and in all the work that we're able to do in partnership for the local community. So I really hope that we're going to be able to carry on doing that, because we are located in a very needy part of Woking, and so helping the partnership flourish and helping and investing in what is going on within Sheerwater through St Michael's and through Mascot will be absolutely wonderful.
And here are just some of the many things that we do in partnership with Mascot. Lots of things from the food bank, the career cafe, all sorts of literacy and numeracy, housing advice, all of that kind of thing. These are just some of the stuff that we get up to together on Sheerwater, some of the opportunities. Now, we come to the exciting bit, one of the many exciting bits, that actually Mascot's hub will be knocked down in the very near future. And we've got plans to build a new community building together. It's a building that will have a large community cafe on it, and that will have space for Mascot and space for the St Michael's community to worship there too. And we've had some plans drawn up for that. There's lots of visibility. It's still on the same site, and oh, sorry, going forward there. It's you can see the plot there with Dartmouth Avenue and Devonshire Avenue. We're looking at moving to the sort of right of the current plot, if you can imagine that, onto the lawn there. So this is the site plan that we're looking at. You would normally have come in from the top left-hand side of your screen and into the church centre there. The lawn will now be built on, and we would be looking to build something like this. So you can ignore the the chairs. That was just to see how many people we could fit in there. We're not planning on putting in pews or anything like that. There's a large worship space, a smaller sort of worship space, and a large hall, much as the same model now, with a community kitchen feeding onto it, so that a domestic style kitchen for coffees and that kind of thing, and the things that we do in the hall. But there's also a big commercial kitchen, and this cafe, internet cafe, with its internet suite down at the bottom, and training for Mascot, the food bank, the clothing bank, a pair of offices for the church and for Mascot, and various meeting rooms, and including this is a sort of a repair cafe kind of style thing. It's a roller. It's got a roller door to the outside world, a messy space where we can do all sorts of upcycling and interesting things. And this building, we've had site plans drawn up, and it's going to cost about £2.3 million. So we're a long way from getting to the stage where we can build, but those are the discussions that we're currently having. So what do we want from you? Well, we want you to partner with us as we live out the gospel on Sheerwater. We want you to join us in our mission. And that means, well, what do we need for that? We need people. We need people who are going to be friends of St Michael's Sheerwater. We need people who are going to join us for prayer support, financial support, people who are willing to join us for a season, maybe to get stuck in long term with us, or to offer specific skills in any particular task that comes our way. So some of those skills might be things like to help us with children and youth work, and we've got lots of opportunities, ways in which we engage with children and youth through the schools and through the clubs that we do and so on, and opportunities to grow that. That just depends on our resources. Really, we're keen, to fight child poverty, which is a really high problem on the estate, and there might be people who are willing to get involved with that. We need IT web support. We, as you can tell, not exactly expert at tech and haven't got anyone to help me. So actually people who can help us get the new website and social media up to date, who can get specific help with curating an online fundraising exhibition. That's a big fundraising idea that we've got with a number of professional artists already interested in selling work online for us and keeping us visible and accessible and helping us with IT problems. We've done a brilliant job, and Jay, who's here tonight, has been helping me. He put that video together for me, and it's my fault that it didn't work, not his. But actually we need some kind of more professional help in these areas. We do a lot of catering. You'll have noticed possibly that our strapline is feeding faith and growing community, and feeding in both senses of the word. We do a lot of food on the estate because there is a lot of food poverty. We work with Foodwise, and we work in the school holidays to deal with the children that wouldn't otherwise get fed, as well as pop-up cafe week by week. So whether it's baking or prepping or cooking, serving with a smile, you can help us end food poverty on the estate. Cleaning. We quite simply are probably not going to be able to afford the ongoing deep level of cleaning that is going to mean that all of us roll up our arms and get stuck into the cleaning. But there may be people out there in our churches who are able to help if they're not all busy scrubbing their own, of course. Gardening. We have a garden, and it makes such a difference, doesn't it? Lots of people in flats, lots of people in boarded up places that don't have gardens, but somebody who can help mow and weed and litter pick and help us look loved, because a lot of litter gets chucked into our garden and we want it to look nice, and we want it to be somewhere, particularly at the moment, that we can meet people outside. Design help. Leaflets, posters, banners, all the things that you take for granted. These all fall to a very small number of people. We're only 23 membership at the moment. We've grown twice over. We've grown, we grew from about kind of between 8 and 12 when I arrived to about 24 in 18 months. And then we lost 10 people. And then we started again and grew again to another 23. And then we lost a load again. And it's a continue up and down movement. And we would really love people to join us. Someone to organise Friends of St Michael's if we're serious about getting this support off the ground, someone to help us do that. And yes, to raise support and so on. And of course, fundraising. That's really important too, to make grant applications and so on, because I'm only one person and I can't do all of these things on my own, and we're a relatively small church and we don't have all the skills that we need to do those things. So contact Tracy or myself on the office line, and we'd love to hear from you if you're interested in joining in. But actually the biggest ask perhaps is, are there people in your churches, are there people who would be really interested with a heart for Sheerwater, who would join us, worship with us, give to us, pray with us, and actually become part of us, learn from us, because Sheerwater has gifts to give as well during this time of regeneration. There are smaller asks. There are always things we need. At the moment, it's kind of gazebos, like probably for everybody, I guess. It would be great to have some gazebos for the outside meetings that we need to hold. So cash, 2.3 million, I said, but don't worry, that is not what I'm expecting you guys to raise in any way, shape or form. Working Borough Council happily announced that actually it was Mascot was going to be moving. This was 2 years ago. Mascot was going to be moving home into St Michael's Church, and the details were yet to be confirmed. The details are a £2.3 million building, and at the moment Ray is we're in conversation with Ray Morgan and the council. We've got a really important meeting on the 23rd of June, which we'd appreciate your prayers for. But actually Ray is currently offering to pay for this new building that we're going to put up. As he says, he'll pay for Christian work, but not for Christian worship. And he said that on a number of occasions. So what happens next? Next year, the current BMO ends. My licence ends because my stipend ends. And the cash flow, the first stab we had at kind of creating a cash flow problem sheet was a bit of a problem, as you can see here. There was a massive gap going forward between the funding when the diocesan funding ran out, and going forward with a dip when we knocked down our building and start again. With the help of some friends, we have managed to look at a new picture. In the last week or two, we have cut the funding down to this gap between income and expenditure by tweaking some things. We've removed a youth worker, children's worker that we were hoping to employ, and decided we won't do that. We've decided we won't increase admin support going forward. We've made a few other tweaks and things and cut our budgets, and we've managed to reduce the deficit. So next year, these lines, the purple line and the grey line, represent the funding we're currently getting that go into zero. So they pay for half of next year, and then we get nothing after that. And so that puts a really big deficit next year, and then the year after. But actually, you can see from that bottom line surplus deficit that we're talking about something like 10 to 15,000 going on once we've got to our new building. So the second phase of the BMO can continue, but without paid ministry, or it can continue with paid ministry, and that very much depends on our fundraising ability. We need about 10 to 15,000 pounds a year to be able to sustain the current paid ministry. That's 77,000 in total. That's it takes into account the larger amount that we need at the beginning to make the second phase work. So that's what we need to renew paid ministry for the second phase to continue mission in Sheerwater. If we want to grow staff and employ staff and go back to the bigger budget, well, that was practically double that. But we've managed to cut down that amount from the money. So what we're here today to say is to find out, really, I'm just going to stop sharing. Is to find out whether how the Deanery feels about supporting Sheerwater going forwards, because that's really how we're going to continue.